Hi and welcome to today's video. Welcome to day 14 of Through the Bible in 1 year. In today's video, we're going to be going through Genesis 41 and Genesis 42. So we're going to be continuing on from Joseph being imprisoned and interpreting a baker and a butler's dream. We're going to get into some more dreams in this narrative as we continue to climax through the climax of the book of Genesis. So let's just jump straight into it. Genesis 41 verse 1 reads, "And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favoured kine and fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-favoured and lean-fleshed, and stood by the kine upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favoured and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favoured and fat kine. So Pharaoh awoke." So Pharaoh's had this dream. He's first seen a first set of 7 kine, okay, by the river. They're really plump and fat-fleshed. They're really healthy. Then he's seen another set of 7 kine, which are really unhealthy and lean. And ultimately, those lean kine eat the healthy kine. Okay, so obviously he then wakes up. And he slept again and dreamed the second time. Okay, so notice again, we had 2 dreams from Joseph. We had the 2 dreams in the previous video. Okay, one from a baker, one from a butler, which had similar meaning. Okay, and now we're going to have 2 dreams from Pharaoh, which are going to have a similar meaning. Okay, and behold, 7 ears of corn came up, verse 5, upon one stalk, rank and good. And behold, 7 thin ears, and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them. Okay. And the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank, and full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, a dream. So he's had the first dream about kine, then he's had the second dream about corn. Okay. And it's interesting, by now, I'm going to point this out, but as you're reading through the scriptures, you should now start to pick things out. Okay. Joseph had 2 dreams, which both suggested the same thing. The butler and the baker had 2 dreams, okay, with very similar meanings, okay. Now Pharaoh's had 2 dreams, okay. So that's 2 dreams across the board, but at the same time, he's had 2 dreams which sound pretty similar. The kine eat the kine, the corn eats the corn, okay. The 7 kine, 7 kine, 7 corn, 7 corn, okay. So notice that, okay. Let's keep going. Verse 8, "And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh." So Pharaoh's had this dream. He comes in the morning and he says to himself, you know what, I need to find out what this dream means. He calls all of his wise men, basically everyone, all the magicians, and says, tell me the dream. Okay, and it's interesting because this is synonymous. We're going to get to the book of Daniel. Daniel's going to have an opportunity to interpret dreams, but before Daniel gets the opportunity, just like Joseph is going to get the opportunity, the king at that time tries to search out everyone for the dreams, just interpret the dreams, and no one can interpret the dreams. Okay, that's something that's interesting. Okay, just to reference. We'll bring that back up at the time as well anyway. So look what happens, verse 9. "Then spake the chief butler," the chief butler who forgot about Joseph, remember, that the scripture said, "unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Pharaoh was wroth with his servants. And he says, he put me inward in the captain of the guard's house, me and the chief baker. And we dreamed a dream in one night, I and he. We dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there with us a young man, an Hebrew servant, to the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams. To each man according to his dream, he did interpret." So now, X amount of years later, after Joseph's gone through turmoil and obviously still been in prison this whole time, he's now literally saying, okay, there was a man who interpreted my dream and the baker's dream. Okay. Verse 13, and it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And he shaved and changed his raiment and came in unto Pharaoh. Okay, so Pharaoh wants results. He's not messing about. Gets Joseph really quickly. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee, thou canst understand the dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. Okay, so Joseph is really humble here, credits God with the power. And then we continue, verse 17. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, in my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river, and behold, there came up out of the river 7 kine, fat-fleshed and well-favoured, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them, poor and very ill-favoured, and lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt for badness. Okay, so he's giving, now he's reciting the dream, he's giving us more context. Okay. And the lean and the ill-favoured kine did eat up the first 7 fat kine. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them, but they still ill-favoured as at the beginning. So I awoke. So then the last bit of detail here that we don't get the first time is that they ate the fat kine, but they still looked ill and poor and impoverished, basically. Verse 22. And I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up in one stalk, full and good, and behold, 7 ears withered, thin, blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them. And the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears, and I told unto the magicians, but none that could declare to me. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh 1. Okay. God hath shewed Pharaoh what he about to do. So Joseph saying, God is showing you by these dreams what he's about to do. Okay. The 7 good kine, 7 years, and the 7 good ears, 7 years. The dream 1. Okay, so he's linking the 2 dreams to compare them as one. And the 7 thin and ill-favoured kine that came up after them 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. Okay. This the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What God about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. So he's saying, God is showing you what he's about to do. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine. And all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt. And the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following, for it very grievous. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice, because the thing established by God. So God's saying, Joseph saying, God had shown him twice, showed you twice, because this is established by God, and God will surely bring it to pass. So it's interesting that Joseph is saying this. You see all over the scripture, God, by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, God will implement. Everything should be established. So you take that with the scripture, you should never have any doctrine, have any belief without having at least 2 or even 3 at the bare minimum pieces of text in the scriptures that highlights what you're talking about. Okay, and it's clear because by having that many pieces of proof, it's more likely to be true, opposed to someone taking one little verse somewhere out of context and saying this is what this means without any other context throughout the whole scripture that backs that point. Okay, so look what Joseph says here, verse 33. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. So he's saying in those 7 years of goodness, take 20% and store it up, and let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities, and that food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. So he's saying, store up in those 7 good years, so the 7 bad years, you've got stuff to preserve yourself. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find as this a man in whom the Spirit of God? Okay, notice what Pharaoh said. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, forasmuch as God hath shewed thee all this, none so discreet and wise as thou, thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. So imagine that, from wrongly being from wrongly being accused of his brethren and hated of his brethren, they wanted to kill him. They settled with selling him to a slave. He goes to Potiphar's house, okay, and he rises to ascendancy. God is continuing to bless him. Then all of a sudden, his wife goes crazy and just is pestering him day to day, propositioning him to have an affair with her, and he says no. So she lies on him and says he tried to rape her, basically, and then he gets thrown into prison. He interprets two people's dreams, says, remember me, to the one that's going to survive, and he forgets about him until this particular time when Pharaoh has had a dream. Okay. And Pharaoh lifts him up to be ruler, literally pretty much over the whole world, we're going to come to see. And it's interesting when you think about that, okay. Joseph was persecuted, he was trodden down, but at the end, he's at the right hand of the ruler of the whole world, okay. Where's Jesus right now? Okay, after ridicule, after crucifixion, after death and burial, he ascended on high to sit on the right hand of the creator and the controller of this whole world. There's so much of this stuff through the text. So much of this stuff. So many allusions. All of these things are not here and documented this way by chance. Okay, these are all little subtle things in the book of Genesis. This is the first book. I'm continually bringing these things out to show you what God is doing. God is continually showing his power in what he's doing. Okay. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand. Okay, that's a signature of his power. Okay. And put it upon Joseph's hand and carried him in vestes of fine linen and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried before him, bowed the knee. And he made him over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I, Pharaoh, and without thee, okay, talking about Joseph, shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zaphnath-Paneah. Okay. And he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, the priest of On. And Joseph went out over the land of Egypt. So Pharaoh changes his name, gives him a wife, okay, of a daughter of a priest. Okay, so notice again Joseph, which is a type of Jesus Christ, marries here a Gentile bride. Okay, another allusion. And Joseph, 30 years old, verse 46, when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Egypt. So notice, just a little subtle verse like this gives us context. He was sold at 17. He's now 30 when he's presented before Pharaoh. So he's literally been a slave for 13 years. Okay. For that whole 13 years, whether up or down, he continued to trust in God. And that's just really important for you to understand. Okay, so notice, he's 30 years old at this point. So his older brothers, how old are they going to be? Okay, 45, 40, etc. Okay, maybe that's just insights anyway. Okay, verse 47. And in the 7 plenteous years the earth brought forth by handfuls, and he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities. The food of the field which round about every city laid he up in the same. And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much, until he left numbering for without number. So they've gathered up so much stuff. Okay, and this is 7 years of plenty. And unto Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, priest of On, bare unto him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God hath made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. So Manasseh literally means forgetting. Okay, and the name of the second called he Ephraim, for God hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. So Ephraim means fruitfulness. Okay, and the 7 years of plentiness that was in the land of Egypt were ended. And 7 years of dearth began to come, according as Joseph had said. And the dearth was in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. And in all the land of Egypt was famished. The people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go unto Joseph, what he saith to you, do. And the famine was over all the face of the earth, and Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians. And the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt, and all countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy, because that the famine was sore in all the lands. So notice the turnaround here. Joseph has a dream. His brothers hate him even more, basically. They sell him as a slave, and within 13 years, he's now literally ruling the world. Okay. He's the right-hand man to Pharaoh, which is literally running the world, and he's literally in charge. Okay. And this is obviously how the narrative has shifted from where we were previously to now in Egypt, where Joseph is ruling the whole world, basically, because all countries are coming to Joseph, basically, to survive. Okay. Notice that. Okay. Through all the hardship, now the whole world is coming to Joseph to seek help. Okay. That's another thing. Take this and look at how this applies to Jesus Christ. Okay. And I think that's really, really insightful. We've gone full circle from the standpoint that Joseph was despised and rejected to the point that Joseph is going to be applauded and worshipped and reverenced. Okay. First coming, second coming. So we continue into verse chapter 42, okay, and look what's happening in regards to the aftermath of this whole famine. Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, why do you look one upon another? And he said, behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die. And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sat not with his brethren, for he said, lest peradventure mischief befall him. So Jacob, like he was protective of Joseph to a certain degree, is now even more protective of Benjamin. Okay, because he's saying to himself, you know what, something might happen to him. Now, you might get the illusion as we continue to read through this that Benjamin's some little baby. Okay, Benjamin isn't a baby at this point. Okay, Joseph was 30 when he presented himself to Pharaoh. There was 7 years of plenty. Okay, which will take him to 37. We're now into the famine, okay? So he's probably about 40 years old at this point. So Benjamin is probably about 30 years old, okay? Maybe a bit older, maybe a bit younger, but he's not some baby in this predicament, okay? And the sons of Israel came to buy among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph the governor over the land, he that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. Okay, so cast your mind back to Joseph's dream, that the chiefs will bow down to his chief, okay, and the sun and the moon and the stars, etc. will bow down to him. Now, I want you to notice, this hasn't been fulfilled yet, okay, because remember, all of his brothers, okay, the 11th chief, the 11 stars need to bow down to him. And by the time all's said and done, all brothers will be bowing down to Joseph. Okay. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, whence come ye? So where you coming from? And they said, from the land of Canaan, to buy food. So this is what they've come for. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him. So he realized who they were, but they didn't realize who he was, which is obviously really interesting. So look what it says here, okay. Verse 9, and Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, and said unto them, ye spies, to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said unto him, nay, my lord, but to buy food are thy servants come. Okay, notice they're submitting themselves under his authority. We all one man's son, we true, that servants are no spies. And he said unto them, nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said, thy servants 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan, and behold, the youngest is there with our father, and one not. Okay, so the youngest is with the father, and one is dead. They're what they're basically saying. And Joseph said unto them, that I spake unto you, saying, ye spies. So he's saying, no, you're spies. Hereby ye shall be proved. By the life of Pharaoh ye shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come hither. Send one of you, and let him fetch your brother, and ye shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh, surely ye spies. So he's saying, you're all going to be in prison, and send one of you to get the other brother. And he put them all together into ward 3 days. So 3 days he puts them into prison. And Joseph said unto them the third day, this do and live, I fear God. If ye true, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye, carry corn for the famine of your houses, but bring your youngest brother unto me, so shall your words be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so. So he said one thing, but he then flipped it on his head and said, you know what, one of the brothers stay, the rest of you go, and then come back. Okay. But bring your youngest brother unto me, so shall your words be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so. And they said one to another, verse 21, we verily guilty concerning our brother. Okay, talking about Joseph, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore this distress will come upon us. And Reuben answered them, saying, spake I not unto you, saying, do not sin against the child? So Reuben's coming to say, didn't I tell you that we shouldn't do what we did to him? And you would not hear. Therefore, behold, also his blood is required. So in their mind, they've told Joseph their brother's dead. In their mind, Joseph is dead. Okay. And they knew not that Joseph understood, for he spake unto them by an interpreter. So Joseph is communicating them with an interpreter, but they don't understand that he knows Hebrew. Okay, so he literally can understand and hear what they're saying. And he turned himself about from them and wept, and returned to them again, and communed with them, and took from them Simeon, and bound him before their eyes. So notice, he's hearing what they're saying. He's kind of seeing their sort of regret, so to speak, and he can't take it, so he's breaking down. Okay, wait. So he comes back and bound Simeon, Reuben, Simeon, Levi. He's the second born. Okay, I wonder why he took Simeon. Maybe was Simeon the instigator of this whole thing? Maybe just because Simeon, because now he's hearing that Reuben tried to defend him and Simeon's the next in line. Okay, is it because of that? Maybe. Then Joseph commanded, verse 25, to fill their sacks with corn, and to restore every man's money into his sack, and to give them provision for the way. And thus he did unto them. So he's literally giving them a free pass. He's giving them all this stuff, but giving it to them for free. And they laded their asses with the corn and departed thence. And as one of them opened his sack to give his ass provender in the inn, okay, he espied his money, for behold it in his sack's mouth. So they've obviously gone on their journey, and by the way, at an inn, one of them has realized that all the stuff's in there. And he said unto his brethren, my money is restored, and lo, even in my sack. And their heart failed. So they're literally distressed, because they've literally come back from being accused of being spies. Now all of this one brother's money is still in his sack. And he said unto his brethren, okay, my money is restored. Their heart failed, and they were afraid, saying one to another, what this God hath done unto us? So they're literally saying God is judging them, basically. And they came unto Jacob their father unto the land of Canaan, and told him all that befell unto them, saying, the man, the Lord of the land, spake roughly to us, and took us for spies of the country. And we said unto him, we are no spies, we 12 brethren, sons of our father. One not, okay, one's dead, and the youngest this day with our father in the land of Canaan. And the man, the Lord of the country, said unto us, hereby shall I know that ye true. Leave one of your brethren with me, and take the famine of your households, and be gone. And bring your youngest brother unto me. Then shall I know that ye no spies, but ye true. Will I deliver you your brother, and ye shall traffic in the land. So they're literally replaying the story to Jacob now, basically about what's actually going on. And it came to pass, as they emptied their sacks, that behold, every man's bundle of money in his sack. And when their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid. So it's interesting. I pointed this out in a Bible study one time. I said to them, to the group, well, isn't it interesting that one of them realized that this was what happening? Why didn't they all search out their stuff? Why is it that when they got home and they're unloading, that they started to realize that this will happen? And they're all greatly afraid, because they're wondering what has actually happened here. And Jacob their father said, okay, unto them, me have ye bereaved. Joseph is dead, Joseph not, and Simeon not. And ye will take Benjamin. All these things are against me. And Reuben spake unto his father, saying, slay my 2 sons if I bring him not to thee. Deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to thee again. So Reuben, after that foolish act of sleeping with Jacob's concubine, basically, okay, one of the lesser wives, he's literally now trying to, since that situation, try to reconcile, basically, and try to amend his ways, and he's done so. Okay, he didn't want them to kill Joseph, and he's obviously now saying, look, kill my 2 sons if I don't bring him back with you. But he said, my son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If mischief befall him by the way in the which ye go, then shall you bring down my grey hairs with sorrow to the grave. So Jacob's adamant and said, look, Joseph's dead, because obviously in his eyes, Joseph's been killed. about 20 years ago, about that, okay? And now you want to take Benjamin, okay? So what if something bad happens to Benjamin, okay? You're literally gonna just stress me to the point of death. That's what he's basically saying. He literally says at this point that Benjamin, okay, who is probably about 30 years old at this point, okay, maybe even older, okay, is not going, okay. And it's interesting because we're not going to hear much of Benjamin. Benjamin isn't going to say, well, Dad, you know what, let me go, I'm okay. Jacob is just adamant Benjamin is not going, okay. And that was just literally the end of today's Bible study video, day 14. It's only 2 chapters, 2 really swift chapters with loads of action, loads of insights. We're literally getting to that climax, okay? Joseph is alive, he's seeing his brothers, they haven't realized him. And this is going to continue to unfold to the point where everybody is in Egypt. So like the video, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for future videos in the future. Thanks and take care.